So the reality is that most of us do not have a vocal booth to record our vocals in. And most of us are not mixing perfectly recorded vocals. But that does not mean that your vocals need to sound bad. So if you want to learn how to go from this,
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way.
To this,
mad different phases and mazes to find my way.
And if you want to learn how to mix your hip-hop and R&B vocals perfectly every time, stick around for the whole duration of the video. I know it's a longer one, but I'm gonna roll the intro and let's talk about it. Alright, so first of all, let's check out the vocals, and we're going to listen to them completely dry. This is the channel itself. If you're not familiar, this is Cubase. But let's just check them out. And the first thing that I need to tell you is that you always need to listen to everything. Do not solo the vocal. Just like listen to the vocal in regards to the actual track. So, somehow they never do.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste.
So, first of all, this is Eon, and he's, I can say a friend of mine. This is my song, and he did a feature on it. I sang the chorus and did a couple of verses, but this is Eon, and he's a great guy. He's a guy from US. But the thing is, he is recording in like an improvised vocal booth, which is basically his closet. So the first thing that we need to think about is we need to identify the problems. So immediately what I hear is that his voice is pretty nasally, and maybe it's the microphone, maybe his voice is like that. But sometimes when you get tracks to mix them, you will not have it, like you had no influence in how they're going to be made or anything, like you haven't tracked them yourself. You do not know if the arrangement is good or not, if the samples are good or not, etc., etc. So what you need to know is how to identify the problems. And the first problem that I heard here is that his voice is a bit nasally, and obviously it's not exciting enough in regards to the beat itself, because like it's not in your face, and it's also not as flat or as compressed as I would like it to be. But there's going to be more. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to take out the stuff that I don't think we need in this song. So let's listen to the vocal again.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm...
So the reason why I cut the highs, and this is what most people will not tell you on YouTube, at least I didn't see that many tutorials with like how to filter your voices so they can sit in the mix. The reason why I cut the highs is because you don't really need the highs to go like all the way up to like 20 kilohertz, and like it's a 12 dB slope, so it's basically from 10 kilohertz to 20 kilohertz. It's just one octave, right? Because octaves are double the frequency. So basically 20 kilohertz is going to be 12 dB lower than the 10 kilohertz. Obviously 10 kilohertz is just like a corner frequency, but I did it by ear, and I liked what I hear. Like, to me, this sounds more intimate.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hey, it's Grumpy the editor here. So I just realized that I did not tell you like exactly why I'm doing that, because of the hi-hats. If you have everything like your synths, your guitars, your whatever vocals, your background vocals and all of that, just shimmering in the top, the hi-hats will not do their thing. And it's all gonna be just like a mess of high-end information that's just like competing with each other, and it just doesn't make sense. And that's the whole thing about mixing itself. You need to prioritize which things are more important or are most important in which frequency range. So you do not need vocals that are super bassy, and I hear people asking me to like add more bass to the vocal. Like, come on, like, and they're just like comparing their vocals to Barry White's. Like, no, it just doesn't work like that, especially in hip-hop, because you need the kick and the bass to be the most dominant in that like low range. And it's the same with the highs. It doesn't matter which genre it is. The highs, like if the cymbals are or the hi-hats are competing with the S's and the highs in the vocal, it's not going to sound muddy, but it's just like too much information for no reason. Just cut the highs on the vocals if you do not need them, and you're going to be good.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
And it's gonna work better with a compressor. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a compressor. Now, the thing is, I would use a channel strip here, and I would use only these plugins, but since most of you guys don't really have Cubase, some of you are using Fruity Loops or FL Studio, some of you are using Logic, I'm just gonna use the most common plugins, which are gonna be the Fab Filter plugins. So C2, where's my C2? So let's compress the vocal a bit.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
All right, so the thing that I like to do when I'm using other plugins, like UAD plugins or whatever, I like to do like a 1176 into an LA2A. And you can do that, something like that here, because you can do a really fast attack as 1176 compressor has in the C2 or the Pro C2 from FabFilter. And you can also do a slower attack like the LA2A does. So let's try that, and let's compress a bit with the 1176 style.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that.
Obviously, you can switch out the styles, and what that's going to give you is a different kind of a knee to the compressor. So let's try the
been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now
I like it. All right, so let's add another C2, and this one is going to be we're going to set it to opto because the LA2A is an optical compressor, and let's hear what it does.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
We're gonna lower the volume a bit.
All I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard my first verse. 14 lost and broke.
So what I noticed here is that the vocal sounds a bit more flat, like frequency-wise, which is a good thing. But I'm still hearing some like nasty nasally tones that I don't like. So we're going to use the MB, the Pro MB or the multiband compressor from FabFilter to fix that issue.
Then broken, I couldn't shed the hurt till I let it spill.
It's literally this. It's like a between 1K and 2K. So
spill through this pen and let this music cure. I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting. So what up?
To my ear, it sounds better now. So let's listen to it without the Pro MB, and then I'm gonna punch it in. So.
But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting. So what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad.
It is a bit more flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something like this. We're going to add more bands. So let's listen to it and let's work with the vocal.
Phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest.
This band here is basically going to act like a top band, like it's just going to tame the highs.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way.
And I just realized that this band needs to be a bit more of a broadband kind of a thing. So let's listen to it again.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting. So what I'm left with is time to waste.
All right, so let's listen to it bypassed.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say.
And now with?
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say.
Let me just kill the ad-lib because we don't really need it here. Somehow they never do.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way.
So sometimes I would play with the range and threshold and maybe with the attack. It depends on a bunch of things. Like if I'm doing drums or something like that, like a percussive kind of a thing, or if I have something that like crackles and pops in the vocal itself, I would probably lower the attack. But honestly, these settings that you get from the MB initially are pretty fucking good for a vocal track. So
through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the
all right, so obviously everything is way too tamed right now. So let's fix that by adding a Pro Q. So when we're talking about EQs, I would always suggest that you cut first before boosting. If you have to boost something, like it's fine. If you want to boost something like 10 dBs, that's fine. But you got to know that you're not only boosting that signal, you're boosting the whole signal, which basically means that you're boosting the noise floor. So sometimes that's not going to work. So first try to cut everything, because when you cut, let's say the low end, the mid-range and the highs are relative to the low end are going to be boosted, right? Because the low end is cut, so it's basically like this. So let's listen to the track again.
through mad different phases and mazes to find my way.
So I would love a bit more presence around here, and I would love the fundamental tones of his voice to be a bit lower. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lower it a bit with maybe like a wider Q.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
That's cool. That's cool. And then I'm gonna boost the highs a bit.
I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse.
And as you see, like the cut and the boost is like 1 dB and plus 2 dBs. I could cut a bit more here, like 1.5 dB.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
And here's the good thing with Pro Q and like Fab Filter plugins. Even if you're not that familiar with like EQs, and even if you can't really distinguish if the vocal has like a bit too much like mid-range or like 1K or 5K, or if it's a guitar, the good thing about the Pro Q is that it shows you everything that's happening with the signal, and you will like immediately, by just looking at it, you can identify where the problem is. So if I turned off the compressors and the Pro MB, you would see a pretty different story.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart.
So this range here is the range that we tamed with the compressors and with the multiband compressor. So if you listen to it again,
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
see how everything is more like in level now? That's what we did with the first couple of things that we did. So let's listen to the vocal again.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
Now, obviously, you can add some saturation, and for that, I'm going to use Saturn. And what I like to do with the vocals, like, I don't really like adding that much saturation to the vocals, but Saturn has, like, a good thing going on because it's multiband. So you can basically just add saturation to the higher bands. So let's listen to Saturn with only the lower bands enabled.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what
It makes the low end a bit more present. So, like, it's more in your face because it's a bit saturated. Sure, I can overdrive it a bit, but I don't really need to. Like, 20% is...
phases and mazes to find my way, but think the
Like, this
hardest
is too
part's
much.
admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste.
Like... 20% to 40% for this track is enough. And what I need to tell you, and I cannot stress this enough, every track is gonna sound different, and every vocal mix and every mix is gonna be different. So do not look at this and just like go and copy it, because it doesn't make sense. What I did here is basically, if you look at the vocal,
Phases and mazes to find my way.
like if I left this band here, it would do nothing, but I have it on the fundamental. So this is the fundamental, the lowest frequency, and on the first harmonic, which is the second frequency, that's also like high in the mix or the frequency spectrum.
Mad different phases and mazes to find my way.
So the next thing, I would love to saturate the mid-range a bit, but we have to be careful with it because his voice was already nasally. So if we oversaturate it, it's going to be nasal again. And we did nothing with it. Like there was no point in doing the whole thing. So let's listen to it like over the top and then like cut it a bit.
I've been through mad different phases and made.
Obviously, it's distorting a bit because like that's what saturation does. But if we tame it,
in mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time.
Yeah, around 15% is okay. The reason why I'm adding saturation, I wouldn't add it every time, but I feel like the mid-range is not compressed enough, and I wanted to compress it a bit more. And what better way to do it than to use saturation for it, especially because the vocal itself, as you can hear, is missing the high ends. So let's try and saturate the high ends a bit.
Time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard my first verse. 14, lost and broken, I couldn't shed the hurt. Till I let it spill through this pen and let this music cure. There's no solace in closed eyelids. I only think about it once in a while.
All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. So the main thing that you need to do in a hip-hop mix or a rock mix or whatever is to add NY or New York style of compression or parallel compression, if you want to call it like that, sure. I do have a track already that, because I already mixed the song, but I'm just remixing it now for you guys. But I am gonna make another track because on that track I have used UADs like Distressor, but we're going to do the same thing with C2. All right, so this is the parallel track. So we fully sent the vocal to this track, and now we're going to compress the hell out of it. So ratio all the way 100 to 1. So it's basically the same as the nuke option on the Distressor. We're going to do the fastest attack and the fastest release. Threshold, we will see, but we need to do pumping style, and let's listen to it right now. It's probably gonna be loud as shit.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music.
And then you basically just need to mix it in, or just like lower it and see where it fits and where it just sounds good.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste.
All right, so the actual New York style of compression would be to lower the mids and over-compress the whole signal, but then afterwards just like lower the mids or boost the lows and the highs. So we can try that and see if it works or if it doesn't. Somehow they never do.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished.
It's more present if you don't do it, so I'm just gonna leave like the Pro Q disabled because we don't really need it. So let me show you the mixer itself for a second, and let me show you how much actually like how much volume does the NY style of compression have in the mix compared to the vocals. So this is his vocal, which is like around 0 dB, and this is the NY style compression that we just did.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished.
It's basically half of the volume that the original vocal is. So what I noticed is that there is a bit too much of the lower mid-range in the vocal, or should I say the fundamental.
So I'm just
gonna lower it a bit.
To find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
It could be too much, but we did not do one of the main things that we had to do, which I usually do after all the compressors and everything. Then I de-ess, because de-essing is basically compressing the top ends or the S's or the sibilants. So let's listen to the vocal again.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
All right, let's actually listen to what it's doing to the vocal itself. So audition. Now we can solo. All right, that's where we need to compress the S's. So
Different phases and mazes to find my way.
That's too much.
But think the hardest part.
So let's listen to the vocal when it's not soloed. Never
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad.
I like it, although I might use split band, because split band is basically gonna be another like a multi-band kind of a compressor. It's just gonna split the band, which is going to get compressed, so only the S's are going to be compressed. If you're using wideband, that means that it's going to compress the whole signal, which I really don't like most of the time.
Mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
That sounds just a bit more natural to me. And actually, I'm gonna use the Saturn after the de-esser, because there's no point in de-essing saturated vocals or saturated S's or sibilants.
Phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
All right, so this sounds good, but the vocal is still like it just sounds okay. It's not there yet. So what I do most of the time is I do like a wide delay that is sidechained, and you can basically only hear it when the vocal is not active that much, when the vocal is not that busy, like when there's a stop or whatever. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna use some reverb, but you'll see what I'm gonna do. So I already have these tracks open, but I'm gonna make new ones with Fab Filter plugins, because as I've said, most of you guys probably have Fab Filter plugins. So what is the it's Timeless, right? Yeah, Timeless 3. All right, so let's listen to it right now.
Do mad different phases.
That is way too much, but that's fine. That is fine. We just need to have the mix all the way at 100%.
This is mazes to find my way, but think the hardest.
All right, so let's open the delay track. All right, so first of all, we do not need the mid-range, or like the lower mid-range and bass of the vocal to go into the delay, because like there's no reason for it to do that. So we're just gonna filter everything out by ear. So let me listen to it.
Do mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
That's fine. That's cool. The next thing would be that I myself like when the delay is around like 8 notes or eighth of a note. I might offset it a bit, but we'll see.
Do mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not.
That's actually okay. All right, so there's a cool feature, and I honestly do not use Timeless at all, but I just saw that there's ducking here. Like I went into this thinking that I'll just use a C2 and like sidechain it like that, but actually there's ducking, so let's try it with the actual ducking from Timeless.
Do mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting.
That's actually pretty cool. The next thing that we're gonna do is we do not need the highs, so we're gonna filter them.
And so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard.
That's pretty cool. I'm not really used to like using this plugin, but it's very capable, obviously, and it's actually pretty awesome. I do use like Melda production plugins, which I have some presets that I made for it, and they just work for most of the mixes. I just tweak them a bit, and that's it. I'm lazy like that, but this is actually a pretty cool experience, and I might use Timeless a bit more, because this is actually pretty good.
Do mad different phases and mazes to find my way.
All right, so obviously we're gonna lower it in the mix, so you do not see the mixer, but
think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard my first verse. 14, lost and broken, I couldn't shed the hurt.
Honestly, I like what I'm hearing. Well, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm actually surprised because I never use this plugin. But anyway, the last thing that we're going to add is going to be reverb. So let's make a new track. As per usual, that's going to be like a new send, which is going to be a reverb send. So it's Pro R, right? Pro R. So this is going to be the reverb track, or the reverb send return for his vocals, and let's listen to it just to hear how it sounds.
I've been through mad different.
That's not good. So that's not good. So first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna lower it in the mix so we can actually hear what we're working with.
Through mad different phases.
This is way too much. Second thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna filter the input like a lot because we do not need the mid-range. Because if you use reverb on the mid-range on like most of the tracks or the vocals or whatever, and even though this is not a very busy mix, you can hear that it's just like taking too much space from the whole mix. It's just like filling the mix with nothing that is relevant. So let's just tame it a bit and just like filter it.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting.
Like immediately it sounds better, even though we're still not there yet.
That I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift for my
This is much
dad.
better. But the decay is not that good, so we're gonna lower it a bit. But for us to hear it, we need to give it a bit more volume, basically. Make it
Through mad
louder in the
different
mix.
phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard my first verse. 14, lost and broken, I couldn't shed the hurt, till I let it spill through this pen.
I like it. It sounds pretty good to me. Already, it sounds better than it did before. So the only thing that I might be missing from my Melda production plugins, because I use their turbo reverb instead of this, is I do like how you can make the whole reverb duck, and we can obviously do it with the compressor, and I don't think there's a ducking option here, but if there is, that would be cool. If there is, you can just tell me in the comments because I'm not using the Pro R like at all. But the second thing that I would love to hear is a modulated reverb, and I'm not. Oh, okay, there's chorus here, so let's hear it with a chorus.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard my first verse.
Yeah, it's not that drastic. I would love to hear a bit more chorus. We can obviously add it later, but it's fine like this. We can just lower it in the mix.
14, lost and broken, I couldn't shed the hurt, till I let it spill through this pen and let this music cure. There's no solace in closed eyelids, I only think about it once in a while.
So the reason why you would do this in hip-hop, because I know that a bunch of people are not going to do that, is because you're trying to build an atmosphere. And if you listen, and if you take a close listen at the old school hip-hop, which like this track is based on, like boom bap kind of a thing. If you listen to A Tribe Called Quest, if you listen to like Common or Guru or like Gangstar or whatever, you're always going to hear like a bit of a delay and a bit of a reverb in the background that are there just to create some atmosphere around the vocals. And honestly, I don't hear a lot of people doing it in hip hop, which, like, understandable. It needs to be in your face. It needs to be in the front. And I guess most people don't really like listen to old music anymore, and they do not really appreciate like small things, like a small reverb in a mix on a vocal in a hip hop mix.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
So the last thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to duck the reverb a bit with a C2. So C2, and it opened on a different screen, of course. Engage the sidechaining, and I need to sidechain the original vocals into the reverb. So that's going to be here. All right, so let's listen to it.
I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard my first verse. 14, lost and broken, I couldn't shed the hurt, till I let it spill through this pen and let this music cure. There's no solace in closed eyelids.
It's already much better, even though it's like over the top right now. But let's listen to it in the context of the full mix.
I only think about it once in a while. I let it go. Honest.
All right, there's one thing that I do not like about this reverb, and that's how it treats the mid-range. Some reverbs are not going to do the same thing. This one is, it's okay, but it's not my favorite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the mid-range itself. Let me just, it's like around,
phases and mazes to find my way.
Like 2K.
But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now...
Obviously, what you can do is you can just do like a side thing. If you just don't like it in the sides, like I don't, you can just lower the mid-range in the sides.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
All right.
I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more a curse. Started about a year before he died, he heard my first verse.
All right, so at the end, obviously, you can add Soothe or the new whatever Waves plugin that they just released, or you can add Melda Productions spectral compressor, which also works fine. I mostly refrain from doing this because I don't really want to flatten the sound that much, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's hear if it's going to work or not.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste. I got this gift from my dad, sometimes it's more...
Honestly, it just flattens the vocal out, and it just loses the excitement that it had before. So this is without
different
it.
Phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
And this is with it.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way. But think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay.
And sure, like you can switch it up a bit. You can just like focus on a frequency, and but like honestly, I don't see the point in doing it in most of the because we already like if you know how to do it, if you know how to EQ stuff, and if you know how to use your multiband compressor, then you don't really need to use Soothe. Like it's just like you're basically just flattening your tracks, and in the end, you just get like a track that's so flat, and like if everything is just flat, nothing is going to be exciting, and the vocal to me needs to be the most exciting part of the song. Of course, the drums and the bass and all of that, but like the rest, sure, you can use Soothe on it. You can obviously use Soothe as while it's sidechained on the bass, or like you can even use it on the vocals, sure, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And for me, for this track, it just doesn't work.
Phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste.
If we don't use it, it's cutting through the mix a bit more. Like, it's not a drastic thing, but it's just better. So let's listen to the mix without all the things that we did to the vocal, and then with all the things that we did to the vocal. I'm not going to change the volume because it's going to be, yeah, it's around 0. It is actually on like 0.32. So it's basically the same.
I've been through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in.
So this is what we started with, and this is what we ended up with.
Through mad different phases and mazes to find my way, but think the hardest part's admitting that I'm not okay. I poured my heart in this music, said all I had to say, and now I'm finished venting, so what I'm left with is time to waste.
Honestly, sounds good. Sounds like a record. So yeah, it's a wrap. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and a huge thank you to all my patrons that are still supporting me, even though I didn't like post anything in a while. If you want to support me, the link is down below. Also, you can check out my website, and you can contact me if you need a mix, or if you want to buy a beat, like it's all linked down in the description of the video. This beat is mine, and the mix is mine, and all of that. So yeah, all is there, and all is well. And I don't know. Thank you. Peace. Bye.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Yeah. Ooh, things will get brighter.
but somehow they never do.
Ooh, child.